Greetings, one and all. It's Dagger, aka Red Robe, tapping in with you on a Monday afternoon, man. Hope y'all are doing great out there. Hope all is well. All right, man. Time to get into another little conversation with you guys. You know how I like to do. Um, these lives are just easier to do right now for me. That's what I'm doing. You might, if you check my channel and you don't see a lot of pre-recorded videos, it's because I've just been doing more live. They're just more easier. All right, man. Let's get into the conversation. So the conversation today is, as an artist, as somebody making music, you have to know when to make that next move. You have to know when to pivot to the next thing that will either save your career or help your career. You have to know when to pivot to that next thing because the music won't work forever. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody stays on top forever. Ask Drake. The music won't work forever. So I feel like even Drake right now need to know like he has to pivot to something else. He have to because the way I see it right now, the music is not working like that. Like he's been dropping song after song after song, and people just keep finding excuses about whatever is going on with him. So right now he's in limbo with his music. So he has to pivot. He has to pivot to something else. He has to start doing something else that's gonna either save his career or continue his career. I say he start acting again. I say he get back into the movies. I say he get back on the TV and start doing stuff like that. I mean, that's what a lot of rappers do anyway. So that would be an easy transition for him because he was there before. But one of the people that um I like to take like advice from, or I like to take a page out of his book, or I like to look at him as a blueprint of what to do as an artist. And that guy is 50 Cent. I think 50 Cent is one of the best people to look at when you're talking about knowing when to make the right move, knowing when to pivot. Like with 50, I think his career really blew up around '02 when he signed with Dr. Dre and Eminem, and then he did Get Rich or Die Trying, and then the album blew up. He did a movie, and then he just went on to do a lot of stuff musically. But you can tell that he's very smart and calculated because when he realized the music was fading out, what did he do? He started doing something else. He started doing headphones and maybe merch and stuff like that. He started doing headphones and merch and stuff like that. And for like a couple of years, you saw him doing that. Like he was advertising some kind of headphones. I don't fully remember what the name of the headphone was. I can't. I think I have it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite remember the name of the headphones. But he was doing headphones, and then I think he was. I think he. I think after he started doing the headphones, he ran into an issue, and that issue was Dr. Dre and them had a headphone brand called Beats. So when he was coming out with his headphones, that created a conflict of interest between everybody because at the time, he signed to Aftermath and Interscope, and Dr. Dre and his whole crew and his whole team, they're doing Beats headphones, and you know, they just it was like another competitor that could probably give them a good run because he have the influence, or he had the influence at the time, and I think they sabotaged him into a certain extent because I was listening to what he was saying around the time, and there's a song that he did with G Unit that he did mention that when he said, you know, Jimmy and this and they fell out with him over headphones. So that was a big challenge for him when he started pivoting to the headphones, when he realized the music was going down, and then he started pivoting to the headphones. He ran into some problems with Jimmy and them, and he realized Jimmy Iovine and those guys were trying to sabotage his headphone brand. So, he moved on to like liquors and stuff like that. So he just know when to pivot. You know what I'm saying? He moved on from the music. He moved into the headphones. He realized the headphones are like, creating an issue amongst people that helped him out. He moved over to the liquor. He started doing the liquor. Then you saw him doing the effing vodka and all that stuff. And that was working for a while. He was moving around with that for a while. That looked really good for him. And I guess he ran into some more issues again with it. I don't know. But he don't promote it anymore, of course. But I guess he ran into some issues with that because he don't promote that anymore. And again, he started realizing, hey, the liquor is not working. The headphones are not working. What do I do next? And I think I heard him say one time that he was talking to Jimmy Iovine, and um, Jimmy Iovine said, "Man, go into TV or something like that." And I think a light bulb went off in his head. It's like, ding, go into TV. That might be my next pivot. So the headphones is not working, the liquor not working. Boom, he goes into TV. So he goes into TV, and TV really worked. TV took off. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you saw the video of how he got off his record label and stuff. I think they said that he wanted to get off his label and they wouldn't do it. And he audited them. He audited them. You know what an audit is? An audit is when you get lawyers and accountants to check your record label to see if they're hiding money from you, or if they made money off of you and you never got any of it. Turns out they owed him like $18 million. And he was like, well, hey, I don't want the money. Just let me off the label. So he got off his record deal due to that situation. And then boom, he went into the TV thing. And that worked out for him. He did shows like Power and movies, and and now he's just really into that. He's building a big studio down in I think Louisiana or somewhere. Sherbert. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the city right, but yeah, like he's doing a lot of things over there, and that worked out for him very well. So I like to look at 50 Cent as a blueprint of what to do as an artist. You have to know when to pivot. You have to know when something is not working, your music is not working anymore. People are not listening to you as they used to. People are not showing up as they used to anything that you're doing. You have to know, like, yo, it's time to do the next thing that's going to keep me going. I feel like people wouldn't really care about Jay-Z that much if he didn't like become a billionaire. If he didn't like pivot into different things, like he was with Dame Dash. He realized the relationship wasn't working out anymore, and he pivoted on to do something else. I know there was some shady dealings going on there. Some people said he did Dame dirty, but I wasn't there. I don't know what happened with that, so I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, he knew when to pivot. And you have to know when to pivot as an artist. And I'm saying this, and I want to come back to a situation I recently saw on the news. I recently saw on the news that Sean Kingston was getting indicted on wire fraud, and with him and his mother. And that brought me to this idea that, hey, you have to know when to pivot. I mean, you guys know Sean Kingston. He had that big hit, Beautiful Girls, back in the day, back in like '07. And I remember this very clearly because back in '07, excuse me, that was my first trip to the United States to actually stay a while and pursue music. And I remember Sean Kingston being hot around the time. He had the song Beautiful Girls. He had a couple of other hits. He had this other song called I'll Take You There or something like that. And yeah, he was bubbling. You was seeing him on shows. He was doing features with Justin Bieber. Like he was kicking it. He was doing his thing. And eventually all that wore down, all that wore off, and then you stop hearing about him, and then you're not seeing him anymore, and then you're not hearing about him as much. And when that start happening, that's when you gotta know it's time. It's time to pivot. Like for me personally, I was doing music all my life. And from the time I realized that the music is not working, I started doing other things. You know what I'm saying? I started doing other things. Now for Sean Kingston, I don't know what was going on with him, but I think that his mom, I want to feel like it's his mom. I want to feel like his mom was always like this you know, a scammer. You know, I feel like she was always somebody who was scamming and stuff, and she was like, "Yo, let's just let's just do what we do best. The music ain't working out right now. Nobody listening in anymore. It's done with. Let's go back to this. Let's get back to this scamming." So, you know, Bo didn't pivot. Bo was still thinking that, I'm a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come back around. Maybe I just need another big hit song, you know. And while you're thinking that those good times are gonna come back around, that's when stuff start going downhill. House payments got to be made. I mean, bro live in a mansion. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro didn't level down and stuff. He didn't like say, hey, this music thing is not working. Maybe I shouldn't have a mansion anymore. No, bro didn't do that. Bro stayed in the mansion because bro stayed going and purchasing expensive jewelry, taking jewelry by credit and stuff, owing people coming out and saying, yo, bro, owe me for my jewelry. So all these things start happening, and bills got to get paid. You live in a mansion, you owe people for jewelry and stuff. So guess what? You don't want people to think that your career is done. You don't want people to think that it's over for you, man. So what you do? You start scamming. You know what I mean? You start scamming. You start looking at ways how you could steal money. You start looking at ways how you could just you know, um, steal from people and get away with it. And then you got your mom on the forefront. She's the ringleader doing it, and y'all out here scamming, and it finally caught up with him because he didn't pivot. He didn't pivot. He didn't look at all the options. Because when you're making this money, I often say this. You know what I mean? When you're making this money, whatever it is you're doing in life, the money is coming in. You're getting a lot of money. You have to know that that won't be forever. Whether you know or not, just think about it. Just be like, something. I'm making this money right now, but I cannot say that it's going to be like this 5 years from now. I cannot say that it's going to be like this 10 years from now. I have to think logically about my future. So, bro, making this money, bro got a hit. Guess what bro doing? Bro just buying jewelry, mansions, and living the good life, and not making those necessary investments to secure his future. I mean, I look, I don't know for sure that that's what he was doing, but I want to feel like that's the only reason that if you start doing these illegal activities, if you start doing the scamming, the stealing and stuff, it's obvious that you wasn't investing anything. It's obvious that the money you was making, you kept blowing it. It's obvious that the only thing that you wanted to do was to show off fancy jewelry and houses and stuff. And your mom is just right there with you doing it too. So, so you have to know when to pivot. You have to know when you're making the money, you got to make investments. You got to do things that's going to secure your future. And you won't end up doing things like what Sean Kingston and his mom was doing. You know what I'm saying? You won't end up doing that. And a lot of people, a lot of artists run into that problem. You'll see like artists getting into problems like getting caught selling drugs and getting caught doing drug dealings and getting caught with a whole bunch of drugs on them. And you're like, but isn't this artist making a lot of money? Isn't this artist like living the good life? Why are they getting caught doing these deals and these scamming and selling drugs? Because they ain't got no money. That's why. A lot of people think because you got a hit song that you just got a lot of money. No, Not necessarily. In some cases, maybe, but not in a lot of cases because you've seen the stories, man. You've seen the stories of artists saying they were homeless and they had hit songs. So you know that whole idea of people having all this money because they have a hit song is not true. It's a lie. You know what I'm saying? So, bro was making all these purchases and spending all his earnings, and his mom was right there spending it with him, of course. And when the money ran out, he started scamming and he didn't pivot. Like for me personally, let's say I had came into even some of that type of money that bro was making, I would have definitely did some things that'll secure my future, invest in certain things, invest in stocks and stuff like that. I mean, they might be boring, but hey, at least when you invest in them things, your money be there sitting and you might be accumulating a little bit of profit and stuff like that. And then, you know, invest in, buy a building, rent that building out, rent that building out, get office space and stuff, buy some apartments. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got millions and millions of dollars, you might be able to afford stuff like that. So you have to know when to pivot, man. As an artist, you have to know when to pivot, because if you don't pivot at the right time and make the moves at the right time, you get stuck in a box. You know what I'm saying? And that box is like you're sitting around recording all the time, hoping that this next song gonna blow up. Okay, maybe this one gonna blow up. And the thing is, sometimes that whole idea of having a hit song, that ship has already sailed and that window has already closed. So even if you're making hot songs, it might not be that your songs are not good. It might just be like whatever it was that created that whole hit for you, whatever it was. Because sometimes it's just positioning and different things in place and where people was at the time and what people was looking for at the time that created that hit, and that just not there anymore. That whole idea not there anymore. You know what I mean? So you have to know that, hey, I made some money. I'm gonna just start something. I start something over here. You know what I mean? Only the smart artists survive. That's all I know. And I'm talking about being smart financially. Only the smart artists survive. The artists that are dumb and squander their money and blow their money and don't pivot when time to pivot and don't make moves when it's time to move, they they they, they just get caught up. And we've seen that over and over. Big artists getting caught in drug deals and all that, getting caught with drugs. Like pounds and pounds of drugs they were about to sell, getting caught in scamming and stuff like that. So artists, know when to pivot, man, because if you don't know when to pivot, if you don't know when to make that right move and move on to the next big thing that you could be doing that could secure your future for the next however long, you're going to end up like, Sean Kingston and a bunch of other people who had money, had fame, but is now stealing and scamming and selling, trying to turn into a drug kingpin. Yeah, man, that's a situation, man. So that's the point right now I'm trying to make, man. You got to know when to pivot, brothers and sisters. You have to know when to pivot. Know when to pivot. Talk straight to the camera right now. Know when to pivot, man. All right, man. That's my broadcast for the day. You have been listening to YTIP Radio, YTIP Podcast. I am Dagger, aka Red Robe, tapping out one time. Peace, one love, respect. Enjoy the rest of your week, man.